Hi everybody and welcome to our channel. My name's Melanie Newman and this is Kiki the Toy Poodle, and in today's grooming session we are going to do a little bit of a different style. We are doing an Asian trim on her and she's going to have a mushroom style head, and I've started to cord the top of her top knot, so then we'll do nice round ears into her corded hair. The equipment we are using in today's grooming session is, I'm using my Oster 3000i cordless clipper. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch wide tooth snap-on comb on her body, so that's a length that I'm doing on her body, and then we're going to scissor her legs. But underneath the snap-on comb I'm using a 30 blade. I have my slicker. I also have a small metal tooth comb, so this has a coarse tooth and a fine tooth on it. And I'm using, this is actually Dash's comb, so this is Dash's fine tooth comb, so this is going to really pick up that hair on those legs when I scissor them. I'm using the Refresh coat conditioning spray today on Kiki. And the scissors we are using today these are my go-to curves. So this is a P&W Blacksmith and these are a 7.5 scissor. I'm also going to use a pair of straights. So these are Grooming straights and these are an 8 inch. And to groom her little muzzle, to scissor her muzzle, I'm using a P&W Spartans, and these are a 65 tooth thinner. And we also have our blenders, so these are a 22 tooth blender. So I'll use this to shape her head as well as her legs. The prep work I've done on Keeks is I've shampooed her twice with the Purify shampoo and I've conditioned her once, and then I've dried her with the stand dryer and really stretched out that coat because I'm going to scissor those legs. I've also already clipped out her pads and her little groin and her private parts, and I've also done her nails, so she's all ready to be clipped. We are going to begin by clipping down her body. So I start at the top of her neck. It's a little bit past her occiput because I do have corded parts of her hair there, so I need to hang on to them while I'm clipping down her neck. But we are going to just follow the hair, the direction of her coat, down her body, and I'm going to clip to her elbow and then clip to where her leg bends at the back of her leg. Just clipping down her neck into her withers, down her top line. And this is on the 1/2 inch wide tooth snap-on. I'm following from her top line and we are going straight in to where her leg bends and then pulling out that clipper. So if you don't know where we're stopping, is lift up the leg, and where the leg bends, and that's where we're clipping to. We are going to come behind her ear and then straight down towards her elbow and then just pulling away. And pulling away. So we're not going hard into that elbow area. And then following her rib cage around and then underneath her. And now her other side, so lifting up that ear and making sure I've got none of her little cords in that hair I want to clip. Turn on the clipper and then gently go behind her ears towards that elbow. And then just skimming off, so we're not going hard into that elbow area. And coming around her rib cage into her flank area. So again, I'm just skimming over her flank area and down her top line. and off her top line and into the back of the back leg. So just scooping that out. As we're clipping Kiki's body, this is a chance for us to now shape our legs with our clippers and get that shape started. So when we're clipping down her legs, normally I would like nice parallel legs, but with the style that I'm doing with Kiki today is that I want her legs to be nice and full at the bottom. So they're going to come in slightly towards the elbow and then flare out slightly towards her foot. And that's going to be the same with her rear legs as well. So they're going to flare out more with the bottom area, so mostly around her foot. And I like Kiki to have a really, really full leg. So as we're coming down the side of her neck area, I'm bringing my clipper down and I'm coming in and then I'm flicking outwards. So coming in and just flicking outwards. I'm just going to do the same with the front. Coming down the front of her, and then once I get to the start of her leg, I'm then flicking outwards. And the same with the other leg. So I'm coming down her shoulder, and then when I hit her elbow, I'm flicking outwards. The same as the front, coming down and then flicking outwards as soon as I hit her start of her leg. And this is going to give us the start of the shape of her leg. So instead of scissoring it in, we are using our clippers. We are just going to tidy up the front of her, so lifting up that leg and coming underneath her where her underline is. When we are clipping her back legs, and again I'm going to shape her back legs with my clippers, and I'm just coming in, not too hard, but I'm coming in and then coming straight out with my clipper from about where her knee joint is. So I come in with the clipper and then come straight out. In, and then once I've hit where her knee is in line with, and then I'm coming straight out with my clipper. And it blends in nicely with the clipper work we've done earlier at the back of her back leg. And her other side, so coming in and then straight out. In, hit that knee joint and then come straight out. And blend it in with the clipper work we did earlier. And while I've got her in this position, I'm just going to tidy up around the back of her back leg, so where her little private areas are, and just getting that clipper work nice and neat. Once I've got all her lines set in for where I want her actual leg to start and her back legs, I'm just going to then go over her body and make sure my clipper work is all nice and smooth and neat and tidy and even. As I'm clipping the front of her front leg, I like to come in and then come straight out, and I like her to have no hair in her underarms because she does wear a harness when we walk. So I like to scoop all that hair out in those areas. To clip her underline, I'm gently going to lift her up so she's standing on her back legs and turn my clippers on, and I'm actually going to go in reverse on her belly. I do like her belly area a lot shorter because when we walk with the wet grass and things like that. And then going with making sure we remove all those little hairs. There's a good opportunity to then go down her rib cage as well. Just making sure we've got all those little hairs and it's nice and smooth and the clip is nice and even. I normally clip Kiki's tail off, but I am going to try and grow it out. She doesn't really like her tail getting brushed, so we will do our best. But I am going to, when I'm clipping her, try and blend her shorter part where I've clipped her back into her tail. So it's a nice transitional line from her top line into her tail. It's important when we are clipping our dog that when the hair falls on the table that we remove the hair straight away, because those little bits of hair can then get caught up in our dog's legs and it actually feels like your dog's got knots when in fact they don't. So a nice clean table when we're grooming. I'm combing down the hair towards her foot. So the reason I'm doing this is because when I get my scissors to cut around her foot, I want her leg to come in and then slightly come out towards the base of her foot so it looks like she's wearing flares. As I trim Kiki's foot, I like to pick up the opposite leg of what I'm going to trim. I won't pick up the foot just yet to trim it. I like to trim feet how they normally are, so on the ground. So I'm going to get my curves and I'm not doing a tight foot. I'm just coming in on a 45-degree angle and just scissoring off the tips of the foot. And comb the hair downwards again and just cross check your work as you're going around. And I'm using the fine end of my comb and I'm just lifting up that coat. So just gently lifting it up. And I'm going to lift up her other leg while I trim this foot, and then I'm just tipping around the base of her foot, so just a nice round foot, and it's not a tight foot. So it's basically anything that is on the ground, any hair that's on the ground, I'm scissoring off. And just using the tips of my scissors. And then we are going to repeat that process on all 4 feet. When we begin to trim her front legs, we are going to comb everything over to one side and we want to scissor towards her underarm. So in our other videos, we scissor towards the prosternum of the dog, but this time we want to scissor towards her underarm. So the narrowest part on her leg will be her underarm to her elbow. Comb all this up, and again the shortest part is the top of her leg and scissoring around towards her elbow. And I'm only taking off small amounts at a time, just until I get the shape that I like. if I lift up her other leg, I can see all the little bits I want to trim off after I comb the hair upwards. So I'm going to come along with my scissors and just gently tip all those areas. And just be mindful of the shape that we're creating. So we're creating soft flares on her. And the key is to constantly brush up your work. So constantly comb everything out and your scissor work will improve. And then the front of her front leg. So pulling everything up. And then just creating the shape with our scissors. And recombing. And then working our way to the side of her leg. And combing up the side of her front leg. And scissoring the shape that we want. And combing up again until we get it nice and neat. I will keep combing and scissoring. And I'm not actually taking off any length anymore, I'm just scissoring so the scissor work is nice and smooth. And the back of the front leg and tighter towards the elbow and then flaring out towards the bottom. Again, cross check, comb everything up, and there's little tufts of hair that I need to scissor off. And now we are working on the other leg. So combing all that hair out, scissoring towards the underarm. And tapering towards the top of the leg. I want her underarms to be quite short, so I'm going to pull out all the hair with my comb and just using the tips of my scissors, come in and take all that hair super short. Because like I said earlier, she wears a harness, so I hate her hair getting matted underneath her armpits, and I don't like clipping it out because I feel like it gets irritated. So just scissoring it nice and short. I'm really happy with how these front legs are looking. So I'm just going to tip this front leg for a little bit and get it nice and even and smooth, and then move on to her back legs. When I trim her back legs, I do the same as the front. So I pick up the opposite leg to what I'm trimming, and I'm just combing everything outwards, and I would like that flared shape again, so you can almost see what I need to take off. So once I've combed that hair out, I'm just going to spray it a little bit and then start scissoring and tapering towards the top of her leg. And comb it out again, and then scissor again. And we will scissor the outside of the back leg now. So I've combed it up, giving a light spritz, and then just scissor the shape that I would like. So I'm wanting a flared leg, so I'm not going to come straight down. I'm just going to tip that area. And combing that hair upwards. And just tipping the hair because I do want a nice soft flare. So tipping that shape in. Not taking off too much, just a little bit at a time. And then again, constantly comb everything up to make sure your scissor work is nice and smooth and even. I like my back legs to be in proportion with my front legs, so my back legs aren't going to grow out faster than my front legs. So they are in proportion with each other. So I don't have huge back legs and shorter front legs. The inside of the back leg, just combing all that hair out and bringing our scissors straight down. And now her other back leg, so I'm just combing everything up with my fine tooth comb. And with my straight scissors, I'm coming down, but not directly down. I'm coming on a slight angle to create a soft flare. And cross-check by combing everything back up and scissoring down again. And you can continue to comb and scissor, and this is what gives your work neatness and smoothness and evenness. Other side of her back leg. So we're creating that soft flare. Grab your fine tooth comb, pull it all back up. Create that soft flare from her side profile. I'm going to take off a little bit more hair at the front of her back leg, so towards her flank area, and then I'm going to leave this area a little bit longer. So normally when I'm grooming a poodle, say, I would like the same width throughout, but with this style I prefer shorter at the front and then fuller at the base. So gently comb up the area that we're going to scissor, and using our straights, just coming straight down towards our knee and then softly turn it towards our foot. So we're still creating a knee, but we're leaving more hair to create more of a soft flare at the base of her leg. I'm using my blenders now just to gently blend that coat in. From where it's shorter to then the flare area. And I'm going to spritz that area, and then using my blenders, just gently tip around our hock. because I want this nice and full. And now the other side, so the front of the back leg, and making sure we get all those little bits. So towards her flank area, so it's nice and tight. Give her a nice little waistline. And then using my blenders to blend all that in so it's nice and soft. Her rear profile, I think it's important that we don't make her look like she has big chaps on her legs. So still making sure that it's nice and flared and not like she's got big chaps hanging off her legs. We are growing the hair out on Kiki's tail, but I'm just going to tip the edges just so it's all neat and tidy. So just tipping off little bits at a time. So scissoring towards the base of her tail so it's all nice and neat and she doesn't have any little bits of hair sticking out, and as it grows we'll let it grow out and just keep tipping it so it stays nice and healthy. And just rounding off that tip. I'm using my little Sheer Magic trimmers just to trim out in front of her eyes. So we're just scooping out gently in between her two eyes. And in front of her other eye. And just gently scooping that area. So as you can see, Kiki has little corded bits in her top knot, so we are going to save them because it's still other areas that are starting to cord, but we are going to work on her muzzle and these little ears. We are going to be using our fine tooth comb to comb out her muzzle. And I like to clip up to her jawline. So if you need to tidy that back up, pick up your clippers and just tidy up that area. I'm going to comb out her hair on her muzzle to where it naturally lies. So I'm not going to force it up or out. I'm just pulling it out to where it naturally sits. And I'm holding onto her little chin hair. And I'm just coming straight in and cutting towards the outer corner of her eye. And I'm just cutting the length that I want her muzzle to be. So I'm not putting any shape in, it's just the length. And her other side to the outer corner of her eye. And we're just going to trim the hair on her little lips. So at the moment she has a little bit of a moustache, which is pretty super cute, but being that she's a girl, I'm going to make little nice lips for her. So just coming in and trimming the direction that her mouth is. And her other side, so just following that lip. I'm just going to scissor in front of her eye and try and get this nice and smooth and even. A little bit of a tip, if you are trying to shorten your dog's muzzle, the more hair we leave at the top of our dog's nose, the shorter our muzzle is going to appear. From the side of her muzzle, anything that's hanging past her nose, I'm going to scissor off. Using our comb to pull everything out, and anything sticking past her nose I'm scissoring off. And then coming in and rounding off her muzzle. Her little lip line and following that lip line around and giving her cute little lips. Just going to gently just tip the top of her muzzle. I don't want to take too much length off, I just want to tip it so the hair looks nice and healthy and stands up a little bit more. And just tipping in front of her eye and building that hair up. And using our comb again, just tipping in front of her eye, creating nice round edges. I've set in her shape for her muzzle, and I'm going to go back and finish that, so using my thinners and making sure I get a really super smooth finish. I'm just going to shape her little ears, so I want nice round ears, and I'm just going to visualize that she has hair in between these two ears. She does, but it is all corded, but I want to continue this line all the way through even though there's no hair, so I'm just pretending there's hair there. So just bringing her ears up and just shaping upwards so they're nice and round. I've left the hair in front of her ear, so I haven't actually cut that hair out because I want nice full ears and I want the ears to actually sit up, and if they don't have any hair to sit on, they're just going to fall. So I want them to have a little bit of volume in there, so that's why I've left the hair to grow out in front of that ear. So pushing that ear forward because we don't want to see a little triangle gap from where her from her ear hair to the hair that's on her cheek. We want that to just look like one piece of hair, so there's no separation in there whatsoever. So we will just continue to work and create a nice round ear. And doing the back of her ear, nice and round, so coming upwards. The other ear, just rounding it all up. And again, I've kept the hair on her cheek area to support her ear hair to give it more volume. Making sure I don't cut those cords. And just working and working round and round with our scissors. I'm holding these cords out of the way while I scissor her ears, because I want the contrast of beautifully scissored with her corded hair. Once I've got the length of my ears set in, I'm going to go along with my thinners and just finish those ears. So nice, beautiful, soft finish. And I'm just taking off the tips, so I'm not reshaping, I'm just tipping. And to finish our muzzle, I'm going to gently comb everything out. She doesn't really like to be combed. So I'm always going with the direction of the hair. I'm never going against. As soon as I go against, I'm going to start bulk reducing the hair, and I just want to nicely blend it and make this nice and round and get this finish really spot on. She doesn't have a lot of hair on the top of her nose, so when I trim this hair, I just want to tip it. So I actually don't want to take any length off. I just want to neaten it up and take off those ratty ends. So it actually looks like I'm not taking anything off at all, but I am. I'm just taking off the tips. When we don't have a lot of hair on the top of their nose and it splits in the middle, it's important not to take too much off that, because her hair is never going to stand up. So that's why I always brush it to how it lies, and then I scissor it. Kiki is all complete. She loves this trim because she doesn't like her normal poodle features. As you can see, I'm still cording the top of her head, so it's still looking a little bit messy, but we're getting there. We just have this little front bit to go. And I hope you guys enjoyed our grooming session for today. And until next time, happy grooming.